welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I appreciate it. And welcome to day 2 here. And as Paulson said yesterday, I hope you got some good value out of that yesterday. And had saw some good follow-up conversations in the Facebook group and stuff like that afterwards. So I love that. Thank you for the engagement and questions and all that good stuff. So yesterday, just as a real quick recap, because it'll be important, of course, as we get into what we're going to talk about here today, because they are a continuation here of each other. So let's see here. Yeah, can you see my screen now, Paulson? All good? Okay, cool.
All good, brother. All good.
Awesome. Okay, so just a real quick recap on the 4-day agenda, just so we're all on the same page here. So day 1 was all about the R4 sales framework and how we're going to use that simple framework to have conversations that position us as that advisor, as that guide, and clarify what it is that a small business needs to do to grow their business from a marketing perspective. Okay, we took this great big nebulous concept of marketing, which that is a great big nebulous concept to most business owners. Certainly, business owners that have not spent their time in life studying marketing like we're doing. And it's important. It's so important to remember that, to put ourselves in our prospect shoes, right? They are not studying SEO, PPC, content marketing, social media marketing. That's not what they do every day. What they do every day is run their business. So this framework, a huge degree of its value is just that it simplifies the concepts and simplifies the job to be done to help those small businesses with their marketing. I do want to say, let's say, and when we jump back into that R4, that you have a different kind of a focus of the services that you're selling. You can still use a framework like that, and I'll show you here in just a minute. But that's what day 1 was all about. Day 2 then is how we're going to take that framework and we're going to use that to guide us in our service package design so that we know exactly what it is that we should be offering to our customers. Okay. Day 3 then tomorrow, how to onboard your customers in a way that's going to create that long-term sticky revenue. And day 4, the easiest way to both get that long-term recurring revenue, but also get some upfront cash. We talked about some of the challenges yesterday with paying salespeople, making sure you have enough money to pay commission, making sure you have enough money to cover all of your sales and marketing costs. Those are obviously very real issues, very real challenges. And so cash, of course, is important. So day 4, we're going to talk about how we can approach that in multiple different ways to make sure that we're getting the recurring foundation that really is the foundation of our success in this industry. You've got to have that long-term recurring revenue foundation, but then also generate some upfront cash out of your sales process as well. Okay, so right now we're in day 2. So just a quick recap there on agenda. So today it's all about determining exactly what to include in your system as a service packages. Okay, and again, SaaS to me, systems as a service. Okay, not software as a service. Software is a critical component. And the high-level SaaS capabilities are a critical component of being able to pull this off with the efficiency and scalability that we're looking for. But when you hear me refer to SaaS, unless I'm specifically saying high-level SaaS platform, then what I'm referring to is your system as a service. Okay, and so just to make sure, again, as a recap, what does a system mean? A system is where you're bringing together a variety of components to accomplish a goal, to accomplish an objective. That's what a system does, right? So in our case, our system is a foundation layer of high-level software. Okay, so that's our foundation. The next layer on top of that is the assets that we create, the marketing assets that we create for our target customers. So if we're selling to lawyers and we're going to help our lawyers generate leads by having really good lead magnets and lead gen campaigns, then the creation of lead magnets, of landing pages that we know convert, of ads that we know convert, of follow-up sequences that we know convert, Those are all of our marketing assets that we are layering on top of the software to create a complete system for our customers. So our customers don't have to just sign up for the software as a lawyer and then go, okay, now what do I do, right? They're not tools buyers, they're systems buyers. The next layer on top of that to complete the system is your services. So whatever services you offer on top of that. And so just as an example, we talked a little bit about this yesterday about where your responsibilities stop and where your customers' responsibilities begin, right? So there are obviously, you're not running your customer's entire business, right? So there's got to be boundaries as to where you stop doing things and they start doing things. But as an example, let's just say that you are offering newsletters as a service, as part of your service delivery, as part of your system, okay? With a newsletter as a service, you could create the content, put it into a newsletter, and then say, okay, Mr. Customer, it's now yours to do final review, final edits, choose who you want to send the newsletter to, and then actually get it out the door, by Wednesday, which is your deadline for sending your newsletter. That's one degree of service. So that degree of service puts, that cutoff very clearly into the customer's hand of, hey, we're gonna do all this, but you're responsible for final review, final edits, adding any personal touch you want to add to that newsletter, and then getting it out the door. Or you could offer a layer of service where you take care of all of that, right? Well, what I would call more of a full managed service. So you could offer a full managed service where it's like, hey, Mr. Customer, you don't have to lift a finger. Every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, your newsletter is going to go out. It's going to be a really nice professional newsletter. Here are the people it's going to go to. Okay. So your level of service is up to you to determine, depending on the target customer that you're going after, who that avatar is, what their needs are, and what problems you're going to solve for them. Okay. What's really, really critical here before we transition into today's topic is to completely understand and accept that you are pre-designing a system for a specific customer to get specific outcomes or results or things taken care of for them, right? So we talked about this yesterday. Most agencies approach the world as, I help small businesses with marketing. Or maybe they get a little more targeted than that. I help restaurants with marketing, right? And then when a restaurant comes to them and says, hey, we need help with the marketing, or they get that sales conversation going, it's almost completely open-ended from that point. It's like, hey, if you'll pay me enough at my hourly rate and I'll put together a proposal for you, and as long as you'll pay enough hours, we'll do that, right? Every customer different, every situation different, zero scalability in that, very, very low margins in that. You may think otherwise because most likely you're not real clear on what your costs are of running your business that way, but the margins are terrible, which is why almost anybody who's running an agency that way does not scale up. So the opposite approach is what we're doing. We are defining a system for our target customer that we are going to deliver that system. Okay, that allows us to do something repeatable over and over and over again. It allows us to continuously refine it and improve it, both in the value proposition to the customer, right? Making our landing pages better, making our ad campaigns better, right? So the system is constantly getting better, but it also allows us then to improve the system from a delivery perspective, from an operational perspective, costs, right? And things like that, so that we can continue to make our business more and more profitable, more and more efficient, more and more scalable. Okay, but the key is that you are pre-designing something and taking it to the market. And that market then has to be something that you've defined. Who is my target customer? Okay, I meet so many agencies. I just had a call just this last week with somebody who's been in my community for a good long time. And she said, she admitted right there in the group, she said, I know I need to pick a target customer. I just don't want to. Sometimes we have to fight our own demons as an entrepreneur, right? Sometimes as an entrepreneur, being distracted, being able to pursue all kinds of different opportunities and stuff like that, that's exciting to us because we've got that entrepreneurial ADD, but that's not what builds the best business. And so you got to decide, do you want to build the best business or not? In order for her to build her best business, she needs to define a target customer and then go after them, right? It makes sense. Yeah, Paulson.
Hey, just real quick, just to get a good temperature of the room, and I'm seeing a lot of new faces today. Do you mind going to the Facebook streaming and listing down the industries that you're going after? I just want to get a good feel for the room, and I also want to get some engagement going in the Facebook streaming so more people can see that. But I would love to get an idea of which industries or niches that you guys are considering as Michael gets going here.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. So again, in order to define a system, we have to first define who our target customer is, okay? So we've got to decide who we're going to help. We've got to identify the problems that we are going to solve for them, and then we're going to design a system that solves those problems, okay? So that's the order here that we're going to go in, okay? So yesterday then, we went through the R4 framework: reputation, resell, reach, and retarget. Okay, our 4 R's that really simplify the job of marketing, right? To build and enhance and protect our reputation, to put systems in place that resell our past customers, bring them coming back as frequently as we can, getting them to spend more money with us. Reach, we've got to reach new audiences and new customers to bring them into the business. And then retargeting, because we know in today's attention-starved world that we've got to make sure that we're staying in front of people. Okay, the worst thing in business is to be forgotten, right? That's the worst thing. You can have the best product in the world, but if you're forgotten and they go to the schlep down the street to buy from them instead of you because the other guy's just staying in front of their face, then you've lost, right, in the marketing game. So we don't want to be forgotten. We want to use retargeting to stay in front of people and bring them back, okay? So those 4 R's, again, simplify everything. Now, there's a couple of really, really important things about these 4 R's as we transition into service package design here that it's really critical to be aware of, okay? This whole system, the Surge to SaaS system here, is designed specifically to get you as much recurring revenue, automated, hands-off, okay, service revenue coming into your business as you possibly can. Okay, that is the foundation of our business. Okay, you've got to have that good recurring revenue that's as hands-off as possible. We talked a little bit about yesterday about, if you decide to sell any additional menu of services on top of those packages, then, that's just kind of the cherry on top, maybe. Or you just don't sell any additional services on top of your recurring revenue packages at all. You just keep those boundaries really tight, right? So this is all designed to help you sell using HighLevel's tools as a foundation of your system so that you can get that long-term recurring revenue, okay? So how specifically does this accomplish that? Well, we talked about yesterday when I walked you through the script, okay, around presenting this R4 to a prospect. And if you recall, after resell, so I did reputation and resell, and then there was a little bit of a pause there. There's a little bit of a transition that's really, really important here, okay? That transition is communicating to the customer, to the prospect, that reputation and resell are the foundations of your business success. Okay, those are the foundations of your business success, which is true, right? If your reputation stinks, it doesn't matter that we're going out and reaching a bunch of new customers with our marketing, because all we're doing is accelerating people to come and find out why our reputation stinks, right? We don't want to drive more people into our business if our business is doing a terrible job of delivering the product and experience that it's supposed to deliver. Now all we're doing is, putting gas on the fire of our bad reputation. So reputation clearly is the foundation. I think everybody gets that. Again, I think every business owner understands when you say to them, hey, you understand that it's not that customer coming in for the first time where you make your money. It's those long-term loyal customers that you've had for years that come back, you see their faces over and over again, they buy from you, they tell their friends, yada, yada. Those are your most profitable customers. Those are the customers that are really driving the profitability of your business and the success of your business. Every business owner understands that as well. So reputation and resell are these two foundational concepts that everybody understands and nods their head and goes, yes, I get it. Those are things that I have to have at my business. The great thing is, as we move into service package design and we look at the services that we can deliver with HighLevel, those are almost all completely hands-off automated services. We can build a really awesome foundation for service delivery at the reputation and resell levels that are just good, solid, long-term, recurring, very high margin, very hands-off service delivery. Okay. So the great thing about that for you, obviously, is that, okay, now any customer that comes on board, if I'm selling them on, and I don't even have to sell them, it's just guiding them on, hey, the foundation of your business is solid reputation, having these resale systems in place. Now, the easiest service package for them to buy into at our business will incorporate those things, and it will be very high margin recurring revenue for us, which is awesome. Because what's the next step up? The next step up is reach. Okay, reach is expansion. Reach is about investing in growth. Okay. The reality is most small businesses will not invest much in growth. It's just reality. It's a sad reality, but most small businesses do not look at marketing with that same strategic lens that a bigger business tends to, and say, yes, I am willing to invest X thousands of dollars every month into campaigns to get my name out there, to get my brand out there, right? That's just not the conversation that you have with most small businesses, where they go, yes, strategically, I know I have to do that. I'm going to budget X thousands of dollars a month to reach new customers. The far majority of them won't. Okay. Some of them will, but anybody who's ever done Facebook ad management or Google ad management or anything like that for small businesses knows that there is a constant pressure as to how much they will spend and what your management fee is that you can then charge, right? Because if a small business has a $2,500 a month ad budget and you want to charge $1,500 a month for your management fee, and now all of a sudden they're looking at it and going, wait a minute, out of my $2,500 a month ad budget, $1,500 of it isn't even going to advertising. It's going to you for management, right? So there's this constant pressure as to how much they're willing to be able to spend. Some businesses, of course, will spend much more, but the majority of small businesses do not invest a lot in expansion, which is why it is critical that the way that we are pitching our services has the foundation of reputation and resell first, because that is where we're going to get the long-term recurring revenue that we can get from almost every stinking small business out there, regardless of whether or not they have an expansion mindset and an expansion budget. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that is super, super critical when you think about the design of your services. What are the foundational services that I can put in place that are going to stick, that don't ask my small business customers to invest too much, to be too strategic, right? Because the far majority of them just won't. It's just reality. Paulson, do you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, what I think is really amazing here is that, if I understand correctly, Michael, you're saying go in with the predetermined marketing plan. And on that marketing plan, yesterday we looked at this model, the R4 model, in the conversational style of how you're actually positioning yourself in the sales component. But today we're looking at it as a marketing plan for that customer and then really building packages off of these layers. Is that right? Is that the right way to look at it? These
Yeah,
are
and I would
actual
even
packages.
say building a marketing system versus a marketing plan. To me, a marketing plan communicates more like month one, we're going to do these things, and month two, we're going to do those. I'm more focused on the system, not to
Okay.
say that a marketing plan can't be a critical part of your system. It can be, right?
Fair
That could be
point.
a huge value add. But the most important thing from our business strategy perspective right now and what we're designing is the system. That make sense?
Fair point. So your system is basically layered into these four packages, right? Like we start with
Correct.
reputation, if that's what it is, or resell, or reach, or retarget, and there's a chronological trajectory of how this system is gonna get infused into their business. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to clarify that because yesterday I
Yep.
was looking at it as a conversational piece, but today I'm like, I see where the actual system is getting implemented now.
Yeah, exactly. So that is so Paulson, you just hit the nail on the head, right? We have now transitioned from a sales conversation to, we go through that sales conversation and the prospect is nodding their head and going, yeah, this makes sense to me. So what's next? Well, what's next is now just a very logical transition to, well, we just said we need to have these 4 R's. Let's talk about how we deliver these 4 R's to businesses like yours. Okay, so just a super simple transition. So before I made that transition, I just want to make sure it's really clear to everybody that strategically, your business is all about Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy used to say this really well. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Dan Kennedy, the curmudgeon of direct response marketing, right? I love him, studied all his stuff for, probably 15 years. He used to say that your job in a business like this, a business that is all about recurring revenue or subscriptions, like he used to do a lot of work for direct response, like healthcare businesses where you would order your face cream and you had to get your face cream delivered every month, that type of thing, right? So he used to say that your job is to sell recurring revenue and then just do whatever it takes to keep recurring revenue. Like he just simplified it like that. That is your entire business model. And what exactly you have to deliver to sell recurring revenue and keep recurring revenue, that changes over time, right? Markets change, consumer demand changes, all that type of stuff. But if you know your audience and you understand your business model, our business model, the agency business model, only works. And when I say works, let me define that, because everybody can point to some, I know some agency down the street, he's got 15 employees and he's doing it the old way, Mike. Okay, we all know that guy. And I also know that guy probably doesn't sleep at night and isn't telling you about it because they're trying to figure out how to cover their overhead every week and make payroll. But let's just say that even that, if that one is, a pretty decent success, okay? The way you run that business is every day you hunt for new project revenue, new hourly revenue to sell your time, okay? So that you can deliver custom work and build a business that inevitably is almost impossible to sell for any real value, because the next person who buys it looks at your business and goes, oh, geez, I have to be like a magician of some sort to run this business. Like you're doing some very impressive, you're a very talented person, running this agency. I got to figure out how to do that, right? It's a terrible business model. So when I say our business model and success, here's how I define it. I'm building customers that pay me month after month with high margin revenue, with services that are delivered that do not take any particular talent for the service delivery, so that eventually I can sell that business if I want to and get a really nice, healthy multiple, because the buyer can look at it and go, oh, you've got a system in place. You've got all these people paying for this software and for your marketing assets, and they just, it runs every month, right? You've got a bunch of relatively junior service delivery people here, making sure that the trains run on time. Yep. Awesome. That to me is success. I don't want you to have to sell your time every day. I don't want you to have to hunt for new business every single week to try and figure out if you're going to be able to make payroll. And I want you to be able to create an asset that you could eventually exit at some point if you want to. To me, that's success. Okay, so that's when I say success in our business model. In order to accomplish those things that I just described, recurring revenue is the absolute foundation. If you do not have recurring revenue, you are never, ever, ever off the treadmill. Okay, so that all being said, reputation and resell then are the foundation because every business needs them. You can deliver them with high degree of automation, high margins, and you can deliver them at a price point that almost every single small business on the planet can afford. Okay? For those businesses that want to invest in more reach and retargeting up on these higher levels, then you can. That's up to you. That's up to you to determine if you want to offer those. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. That's up to you. Okay? I'm not saying that you have to offer all of these. Okay, so that brings us to this. Okay, this is the R4 service alignment tool. And what this is designed to do is to help show you the variety of services that you could offer under each of these buckets. And I say could offer. Let's be very clear here. I'm not saying that you should offer all of these. I'm not saying that there'd be any reason to offer all of these. Again, we're going to look at our target market specifically, and we're going to design the system that we think is the best system to get the results that we're looking for our customers, and do it with scalability and do it with profitability. Okay? So not everything on this list necessarily for our particular target customer can we look at and go, they don't need that. It doesn't apply to them. Okay, great. So we're going to cross that off. And maybe we can't deliver it with the scalability and profitability that we're looking for, at least not right now. We don't have the tools to do it or the model to do it. And so we're not going to offer it. If we can't do it with the scalability and profitability that we need to run a successful business, then we're not going to do it. Okay? And this list, of course, is changing. I mean, HighLevel, since I created this, which was just a handful of months ago, how many features has HighLevel rolled out since then, right? They've rolled out 17 different features that I need to go back through and go, okay, which one's going to put in here, right? Like invoicing, I don't think is in here. Invoicing is an awesome service to be able to offer, right? Very sticky service. So Paul, since you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Don Franklin's comment. He goes, can you go over what high-level services are inside each of the R4 sections? And you're hitting it right on the nail. My question to you is, how did you decide on these services that are relevant to those phases? Like, what's the context behind that? So I know we're about to roll out another 100 features, right? So when those all come out, what is the concept that we should be aware of, whether we should qualify those services into this philosophy?
So that's such a good question here, because Paulson, let me tell you what I see is that the majority of the industry is constantly we talk about, right, shiny object syndrome, right? Shiny object syndrome in this industry. It could be the latest course that somebody's offering you and you feel like you have to buy the latest course because it's got the secret that you need to get ahead, right? But the other form of shiny object syndrome in this industry is to feel like you have to be cutting edge and take advantage of every new thing that comes out, right? It's like, oh, that sexy new technology just came out. I have to, now use that. And so you put yourself in this never-ending chase of trying to figure out the next sexy thing, whereas you're already so far ahead of the small businesses that you're dealing with that there is absolutely no reason to be cutting edge with them. Most small businesses have no need to be cutting edge. You know what they need? They need a website that loads on mobile. That is not cutting edge, okay? Maybe 6 years ago that was cutting edge. Now it's not cutting edge. They need a phone number. They need a lead capture form, right? I mean, those are the things that small businesses need. So when HighLevel rolls out some new capability, what you should be doing is, once you've defined your core customer and you've defined your core avatar, right, clearly what their needs are, you're going to sit back down with this and you're going to go, okay, where does that new capability fit into the 4 R's? Okay, it fits into reach. That is a reach capability. And then you're going to evaluate, does that reach capability solve a problem that my customer needs or not? If not, gone, right? Not every customer needs every capability. Is it something that I can offer profitably? Is it something I can offer with scalability? Okay, so you're just going to go through that checklist, and that way you can determine, do I need to react to this thing right now? Do I need to spend my time figuring out the latest, greatest feature or not? Because the answer is just as often not. You don't need every new capability. And that will take a lot of pressure off of you to try and keep up with everything. Because I know in my community, like, HighLevel rolls out so many new features that I would say half of the time I'm telling my community, hey, look, guys, you don't need that just yet. Like, hold your horses. Give that one a little bit of time to percolate. Give that one a little bit of time to mature a little bit, and then determine, does it fit into your offers that you need to make? Okay. So let's go through this real quick, because there's always good questions as to, wait a minute, Mike, why is that included in reputation or resale or whatever? Okay, so let's just go through it real quick. So reputation, what I find is that most people in this industry define reputation as reviews. Like when you say reputation, you just immediately go to reviews. And when you see somebody that's got some sort of review capability built into their website or whatever, you think, oh, they've already got a reputation service, and you're like, scratch that off, it's all done. Okay, that is barely scratching the surface of what reputation is in today's world, right? Reviews are, of course, an important component for a lot of businesses, not all businesses, but for a lot of businesses. You can offer review management services, with scalability, which is awesome, and profitability, which is awesome, but there's so much more to it that you can build this reputation value proposition around, right? So you see some of them, of course, here from HighLevel, right? Review management, EX, to some degree, GMB management, and I've never done Google My Business Management, so I'm not an expert in it, but I know, some people will say, well, there's so much more that you can do outside of HighLevel to, do effective Google My Business Management. Okay, cool. Your website is one of the most important factors in your reputation in today's world, right? Even Google says so, right? Google says, hey, when we rank websites, we do it based on a score. And a big part of that score is, what is your website? Does your website have everything it needs to have? Does it load fast? All that good stuff, right? Does it load on mobile? So your website is a really important factor in your success as a business. I mean, it's silly to even have to say that, but of course it is. Web chat. Okay, one of the biggest factors in the reputation of a business is, can I get a hold of them? Right? Can I actually get a hold of somebody, get a response from somebody, right? That is a huge reputation factor. So web chat and missed call text back. I mean, I don't know how many times I've tried to contact a restaurant, here in San Diego, and just never hear back from anybody. And that's a hard industry right now. A lot of industries are hard industries right now, but I mean, just never hearing back from anybody. That's serious reputation damage. Not to mention just the fact that you immediately lost business from me, right? Call tracking, right? Call tracking, you may wonder, well, what does this have to do with, reputation, right? And you can tie this back to reputation in all kinds of different ways, but understanding what content is out there working for you, what ads are out there working for you, what's driving a response, right? And then having the ability to run good reports to be able to see, are we getting back to people, in time? Are we following up with people? Do we have automation in place to make sure that we're following up with people appropriately based on which numbers they called? All that type of stuff. Depending on the business that you're working in, call tracking is incredibly important. Calendar services. So again, just the convenience, the ease of being able to work with somebody to book their services. If you are engaging with such and such lawn care website today, and you're looking at 2 different lawn care businesses, and one of them has a nice website with a calendar feature on there that you can book your appointment to have them come to your house, just right there on the website. Just go ahead, I'm going to fill in my info. I'd like you to come at 1 o'clock on Thursday. The other one does not have that feature. And you call them and nobody picks up the phone, and you get some weird voicemail, some dude's cell phone, and then you never hear back from them, for 3 days. How does that impact your reputation and your experience, right? Totally different experiences. Opportunity pipeline management. Most small businesses do not have any sort of opportunity pipeline that they are actually proactively managing. Okay, and in some businesses, that's okay. Like a restaurant typically does not need to have a pipeline that they're managing, right? But many, many, many businesses that should have one don't. And that means that they don't have visibility into where prospects are in stages of the buying cycle. It means that they are not managing follow-up to them effectively, right? And so again, there are people out there that are frustrated that, hey, I'm not hearing back from this company, massive impact on reputation. The conversations tab or conversations capability, of course, in HighLevel, being able to just communicate quickly, effectively, be able to see the conversations that are happening with prospects. And then lead magnets. I had somebody ask the other day, Mike, how could a lead magnet possibly impact the reputation of a business? Well, let's go back to that law firm example that we were just talking about. If I am a new entrepreneur considering incorporating in California for the first time for my new business, and I've gotten the names of 5 different law firms that people have mentioned, and I'm poking around and I'm going to the 5 different websites, and one of them has a lead magnet. Most of them are just, law firm websites with the people, in their sports coats looking all, cool and smart and stuff like that, right? The other one is a little bit more modern website design, and it's got a lead magnet on it that says, get our free guide to the 11 most common mistakes that startup entrepreneurs make when incorporating in California that cost them X, dollars on their taxes every year, right? If I download that guide and it's a good high quality introduction to that law firm based on the knowledge that they're communicating to me in that guide, I'm going to have a totally different impression of their reputation than I am of those other firms that were just dudes in sport coats trying to look impressive and want to charge me $500 an hour, right? So lead magnets are oftentimes the very first interaction that you can have with a business, and therefore have a huge impact on your reputation. So in any business, there are lots of things that you can incorporate into the conversation around reputation. I think the most obvious, easy ones are, do you have a nice website? Do you have a website, is that website functional? All that type of stuff. When I say nice, I don't mean just nice looking. I mean, it's functional the way it's supposed to be. Do you have a mobile optimized website? Okay. Do you have some sort of lead capture? Do you have some sort of way for me to reach you easily? So all the information is easily presentable, phone number, directions, all that type of stuff, contact form, web chat, okay? And then when I try and contact you, if I can't reach somebody live, do I still get follow-up immediately from somebody indicating that, hey, look, we value your business and the fact that you came by here, let us help, let's get in touch, right? Those things apply to every business under the sun. And of course, reviews for most businesses, reviews are really important. Yext, of course, making sure that information is up to date, right, and accurate so that they're not getting penalized in search engines and things like that, right? So half of these, I would say, apply to every business under the sun. So much further beyond just reviews. Okay, any questions about that? Any questions about reputation? And I can look at Paulson, maybe you can help me with.
Yeah, I
track them down in the comments here.
Yeah, and I got a few things that I want to add to this. So what Mike is sharing is what he's figured out with the industries that he serves based on their adoption, right? And he'll be the first one to tell you you're not serving your customers well if you just copy and just paste into their industry. You have to study your industry. Okay, you got to run your own beta and figure out and understand what is the right formula of services or products or whatever that'll fall in each one of these categories that Michael's talking about. Do you agree with that, Michael? I just want to double check with you.
Yeah, I think again, so going back to, first job is to decide who you're going to serve. That's job number one. You are not going to serve every small business under the planet, period. Okay. Decide who you're going to serve, determine the problems that customer has that you're going to help them solve. Okay. And then 3, design the system using these various components and other components I haven't listed here. I'm not saying that this is an exhaustive list, that are most applicable to solving your customers' problems that you can do with scalability and profitability for recurring revenue. Okay. So yeah, so you want to determine who it is that you're going to work with, and then design the system so that you can deliver what they need to solve their problems. So let's look at resell. Okay, let's go to the next one. Follow-up campaigns. Okay, so now we're really looking at assets that we can deploy on top of the tools, right? Because in that first section of reputation that we talked about, other than lead magnets, those are all pretty much tools. Like we just put the tools in place and turn them on a website, templates and design and stuff like that, obviously. But for the most part, that stuff is just tools that we just turn on and HighLevel, we set up, and then HighLevel does the job, which is fantastic, right? That's the dream, okay? Resell, now we have an opportunity to take those tools that we have available and layer on top of them some assets. Follow-up campaigns, resell campaigns. So we're not just turning on the email tool or the SMS tool and saying, hey, Mr. Restaurant, go crazy. You've now got email and SMS. We're turning them on and we're saying we are designing in the 7-step follow-up campaign that gets somebody in here for their birthday. This works. We get people in for their birthday every stinking time at your restaurant, okay? This is also, I love HighLevel for being able to bake in a lot of cases, an actual marketing plan, like Paulson talked about earlier. Bake a marketing plan into your systems. Okay, so let's take the restaurants as an example. I work with a lot of restaurants, and guess what? Every January, there's some New Year's special. Every February, there's some Valentine's Day special. Every March, there's some St. Patrick's Day special. Every April, it's Easter. Every May, it's Mother's Day. I can go on and on and on. You get it, okay? It's really easy in HighLevel to put in place a system for restaurants that incorporates campaigns that are pre-designed around every one of those holidays to just run for your market, for your restaurant customers, okay? Does not take long to sit down and design a set of seasonal or monthly marketing campaigns that then get automated and run out of the system using workflows in their email builder. Okay. And could you do that for every industry pretty much? Does every industry have an opportunity to have a monthly campaign like that? Yes, they really do. Right. So different industries are going to have different approaches. You may not have like an Easter campaign that's really meaningful if you're a law firm, but tax campaigns, end of year tax campaigns, end of year planning campaigns, right? There's all kinds of recurring campaigns that a law firm should be running every single year that you could design into your system and just have them ready to go. Reactivation campaigns, okay? Resell campaigns, birthday campaigns, anniversary campaigns, newsletter campaigns. Again, these are all opportunities for us to create assets and layer those assets on top of the tools to create a more complete system. For, again, if I was selling to restaurants, quick service restaurants, I would absolutely have a birthday campaign. I would have some sort of loyalty campaign. I would have campaigns that go out every single month based on the holidays with some sort of special offer. Okay, I would have all of those built into my system so that when you sign up with me as a restaurant, I'm going to collect certain information about your most popular menu items, what things you like to run on special, all that type of stuff. And I'm going to populate them in using custom values in HighLevel. And boom, now my snapshot is loaded up with systems, marketing systems in place for that restaurant industry, ready to go. You just took a restaurant from probably having barely any marketing at all to a really robust system that includes all kinds of follow-up campaigns, and campaigns to bring people back for birthday, anniversary, loyalty, all that good stuff. Okay, yeah, Paulson?
Just real quick, Michael. My technical brain is kind of gearing up right now, which is unusual. So, the packaging here, right? Are these like snapshots that are pre-built, like ready to go in your world, or are these? Okay.
Exactly. So let me be really, really clear on this, guys, because this is the magic of HighLevel that still so many people don't really understand. And until you tie all these pieces together of designing a system for your particular audience, the magic doesn't really kick in as to how much HighLevel can help you build a really profitable, scalable business. Okay. As an agency, let's say, so I shared with you guys yesterday my MSP Academy. Okay. As an agency, I have an R4 sales system snapshot. If you sign up with me and use my R4 sales system snapshot, it's got website templates, landing pages, lead magnets, follow-up campaigns, everything built into it. And it's got a bunch of custom values that the custom values are set and designed for the assets that are in the snapshot, so that you go and you fill in the custom values and you're about 85% of the way done with having a complete sales and marketing system done for your agency. I can set that up for you in a couple of hours, let's call it. Okay. The scalability of that is crazy. It's bananas. So when you decide we are going to be the marketing system for quick service restaurants, your job, and this is where most people struggle, you will go out and do all the custom work in the world for a small business that tells you that they'll pay you $5,000 for a project. But then when I tell you, hey guys, take that same amount of time and sit down and design your perfect ideal marketing system for your imaginary restaurant client. Just sit down and create your perfect one. For some reason, people drag their heels in getting it done. But that's what you should do. You should sit down and create your ideal snapshot, your ideal marketing system, so that you could go to a restaurant and you could say, I've got the system to put in place, kajunk, and drop it in for them. And is it going to be, 100% done for that customer? No, there's always going to be some customization you have to do of it, right? One restaurant is a pizza shop, the other one's a burrito shop. So we got to, customize things to make sure the right images are in place and the right names and logos are in place and all that good stuff. But with custom values, we can do that so efficiently. It's crazy. But it's your job, again, to design the system into a snapshot so that when you sign on a new customer, service delivery is primarily dropping that snapshot in and doing the basic customizations that need to be done, so that you're not starting from scratch with anybody in any scenario. You're not doing custom anything. You're dropping that pre-designed system in place. Okay, Paulson, you have something?
Yeah. Is it okay if I get a little candid here with everybody?
Sure.
Don't try to perfect your snapshots and waste a couple of months and then hide behind the rejection component of sales. Okay. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah,
It's
do not do
FYI.
that. That is correct.
Don't drown in all this tech stuff. Your clients and everybody, you're gonna bring up the most minimum viable product. Let the market truly level up the actual assets, right? So just so you know, it's okay to get rejected on sales, but don't excuse yourself and drown in the technology component and build snapshots for months and months to perfect your SaaS plan. As Michael is telling you to perfect what you need to go, he's talking about the step one of just launching. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so critically important. I know a lot of people hide behind, as you said, which is a very powerful phrase, which is true. They hide behind perfectionism. And it's really fear, of getting out there and getting it wrong and getting rejected and all that good stuff. Fortunately, or I don't know, for better or worse, I do not suffer from that. I'm good at just putting things together and then take it out there to the market and see what they say and then fix it and scramble and do all that stuff, right? And I think that, this is what you got to do. But you put together your V1, you take it out into the marketplace, and then what happens? You get feedback and you learn from actual customers. And here's the deal though, guys, and this is why this is so critical that you're creating and selling your system, your asset. What do you do when you get that feedback? You improve your asset. You're not improving their assets. You're not doing custom work for them. You're improving your asset. So the next time you take it to another customer and another customer and another customer, that asset is improving every single time that you get interaction from those customers. And then guess what? Because you have all of these customers on HighLevel using this snapshot, when you get to customer number 20, and number 20 goes, hey, I like your landing page, but actually we've been using this landing page and it's freaking killer and it converts 3 times better. And now you have the ability to update the snapshot and push a new landing page out to all of your customers. Hey, here's a new template. This one is getting even better response than our original snapshots. So we're going to start using this one. So your system is constantly improving, and it's constantly improving for the benefit of all of your customers.
Yeah,
because you're not doing custom work for people, you're investing in the system and improving the system.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we at HighLevel wouldn't come out with a pro plan until almost 2 years in, even though we had ideas. Why did that happen? We're very careful in making sure we're not overwhelming the crowd on top of what we were already doing, right? So same thing applies to you. You don't have to come out the gate with your basic plan and your top plan and all these different things. You just need to look at the one plan that your clients are going to survive. Even if you had other packages, I'm not saying not to have other packages, but your focus should be on adoption of one plan that you're driving everybody to and towards.
All right, cool. So now we move on to reach. And again, reach is about reaching new customers, right? Reaching new prospects, new customers. So there's all kinds of ways to do that. Of course, managing Google My Business and Yext, making sure that you've got good, accurate information out there all over the web. All that is super, super important to reach new prospects and customers and pull them in. But then there's all kinds of campaigns and strategies that you could potentially use on behalf of your customers, depending on the audience, right? Giveaway campaigns are one of my favorites. Birthday campaigns, we can run Facebook ads based on people's birthdays, target them on their birthdays. AdWords management, Facebook ad management, LinkedIn ad management, social media management, influencer campaigns, blog content, SEO, offering a website, newsletter content, lead magnets, right? These are all things that we can offer as part of our service. Funnels as a service can be incorporated into this, right? So there's all kinds of things that we could potentially do here under reach services. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice about a lot of these though, is that when done well, a lot of these require much more time and talent to do them well, right? There is social media management, as in we're just going to automatically post a thing on your, your profile every week, right? And that is a degree of value, right, for social media management. But if you really want to grow your audience in today's world in social media management, it takes somebody smart and engaged, creating content, engaging with an audience, answering questions, right? Sharing other people's content. Like, it takes somebody doing the work. Social media management is when done well, is a hands-on thing. So the reach services, as we talked about before, tend to be more expensive, more labor intensive. Not all of them and not always, there's always exceptions, but they tend to be more expensive to the customer, more labor intensive to you, and therefore harder to scale. And so I look at these reach services as something that I want to offer maybe to my top 20% of customers. I want the 80% down here at Reputation and Resale paying me $297, $397, $497, whatever it is, every single month from now until eternity, and not having to do a whole lot of time and talent work to fulfill it. maybe again, 20% of my customers ascend up the pyramid and they're good customers to work with, they're qualified customers to work with, so that the reach services make sense for me to offer to them, and it's kind of a cherry on top of my business. Okay, but you don't have to offer reach services. You don't have to. There's no rule that says you have to offer those services. Okay. When we go into day 3 and 4, I'm going to show you very specifically how we are going to sell to lock in the long-term recurring revenue. We're going to deliver our services in a way to lock in the recurring revenue. Okay. And then give ourselves the opportunity to upsell to these services if we want to at a later date. Okay. And I think that that's absolutely critical. You want to lock in the recurring revenue first, get success with that first, and then you can add on top the reach services. Okay. Retargeting services, then retargeting as a service is a service I offered for years that was an awesome service because retargeting can be set up and be almost completely automated. Very, very easy to manage. Much lower budget than reach services. You don't have to, small businesses don't have to spend a lot of money to have effective retargeting campaigns. Most small businesses, if they're spending a few $100s a month on retargeting, that's going to be plenty. And so that is a service that you can actually offer with a lot of scalability if you set up and offer it correctly. So that one I'm much more favorable on you offering to anybody, even if they don't want to invest in reach services, right? Because every small business, you can make the pitch of, hey, look, we need to stay in front of people. We need to stay in front of our existing customers who are coming into our business. And so we're going to do that through retargeting. It's a easy pitch to make. I mean, retargeting is essentially the highest ROI advertising you can possibly do, right? So very easy pitch to make, easy to set up and manage with scalability if you know how to do it. And so that's an attractive, again, kind of cherry on top service to be able to offer. The reach services, again, are where a lot of people tend to focus with their pitch. But unfortunately, those tend to be the hardest services to offer, right? People out there are selling ad management, and that is typically a difficult business to make work in the small business marketplace. So again, you can structure those services to be effective, particularly if you take a real tight industry focus. So again, if I'm selling just to quick service restaurants, pretty darn easy for me to design some giveaway campaigns, birthday campaigns, and follow-up retargeting campaigns that will just run for that restaurant 24/7 with me barely lifting a finger. Okay. But that is not ad management. Let's be very clear about this. And this is where people get this confused. Okay. I will have a birthday campaign as part of my system, a giveaway campaign as part of my system, and a retargeting campaign as part of my system. I will turn those on for my customers, apply budget to them, and let them run. Versus ad management, which is the customer's like, oh yeah, we've been running these 10 different campaigns in Facebook and we're not getting the ROI we want. Can you get in there and manage them better for us? And now you're going into each customer's campaign and you're doing custom management. Anytime you hear me say the word custom, that's like, that's the worst word in the world, right? So I would never, ever be offering custom campaign management to small businesses where I'm going into their accounts and managing on an individual basis, different campaigns for different customers. Every campaign is different by customer by customer. No way would I ever do that. Terrible business model, unless you're selling to much bigger companies. If you're selling to much bigger companies, they can pay you much more money to do that, then fantastic. But for small businesses, heck no. Yeah, Paulson.
Yeah, I was going to just add in a few notes that I observe with, a lot of SaaSpreneurs. In the beginning stages of your business, you finally have the market working for you. You've confirmed supply demand, economics is working, and you start off with like one-off services, right? You deliver one thing and they pay you one time. And that's usually the beginning stages of the business. The next thing you typically figure out is a recurring revenue, which agencies are just grandfathered in with coaching, education that's in the industry to go all in on a retainer model, right? But we've recognized that retainer by itself is not going to do much, right? What's even more sexier is if you can go into the subscription model, right? So for you to go into the subscription side, you have to have services that are like literally almost like turn on and let go type of model. Like you cannot sit there and manage hours and hours of customized campaigns and things like that. So look at these package levels and figure out what are the things you can turn off as soon as you're done with setup, or turn on whenever you have to go live and don't have to deal with it from a customizing or development standpoint. If you have never ever done AdWords or Facebook marketing or LinkedIn or anything like that, my recommendation is to just completely avoid that and just sell the baseline packages that Michael is teaching here. You don't have to do Facebook ads. Let them, like if you're a SaaS agency, you can ask your customers, hey, which marketing guy are you using? Great job. Whatever he needs support, I'm happy to help. Like that should be the mentality instead of trying to take on Facebook ads when you've never done that before, right? Because we know in the world of management of advertising, the churn is like 72%. Even if you provided white glove services, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose the clients no matter what happens. In the SaaS world, your churn is like 3, maybe 4, 5% on the high side. Okay, so that means 97% of customers you've ever had will stay with you. Imagine your business is today if you have almost never lost a client. Where will your business be today? And that's the revelation that you really have to focus on as you kind of put together your packages. So I encourage a lot of you, put together productized services rather than management services, especially if it's a new territory for you. Okay, Michael, are you ready for Q&A?
Yes, I absolutely am. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, actually, Paulson, I'm sorry. Before we go into Q&A, can I just make one thing really clear here?
Yes.
So just because I have broken out these things into these 4 R's, I think a lot of people interpret that as Mike saying, oh, well, I have to have a reputation package, a resell package, a reach package, and a retarget package. And those are my 4 separate packages. And that does not necessarily have to be the case, okay? I'm not saying that that's the way that you have to structure your packages. So let me just give you an example. Going back to those restaurants, okay? It could be that for every restaurant, I want to turn on a website, web chat, missed call, text back, the conversations capability, GMB management, review management, Yext. Okay, so there's 7 things right there. I also want to put in place some birthday campaigns, some anniversary campaigns, and some whatever, some follow-up reactivation campaigns. Okay, let's just say that my core system, I want to turn those on for every restaurant. Now, why would I do that versus what I just said, do reputation, do resell in 2 separate columns and have those as 2 separate packages? Well, it could be competitive differentiation in the marketplace, right? So if I'm out there looking at the marketplace and looking at what other people are selling, and there's a bunch of businesses out there that are selling reputation services, which there are, I may want to have a service that's more comprehensive than that, so that my pitch to the restaurants is, hey, it's great, you got a reputation service, but you're not getting any other marketing done. Our system includes all these important reputation capabilities, plus it also includes these campaigns, okay? So your base package could include, theoretically, from all of these columns if you wanted, but let's just say that your base package includes both reputation and resell. And then, so how do your packages scale up if you want to have multiple packages? You could just scale up, which is the awesome thing about HighLevel and their SaaS capability. You could just scale up just based on usage, right? So it could be, hey, $297 a month is our base plan and includes all these incredible capabilities and includes X minutes SMS and X email, X volume of email. You can go up to this plan and get more of that, or go up to this plan and get, unlimited, whatever. So you can scale your packages that way. You could have a reputation package, resale package, reach package, and retarget package. Okay, I have customers who do it that way. That's totally fine. So you can slice and dice and package this in a variety of ways. It doesn't have to be just, here are my 4 R's. I do want to say, if you do it as your 4 R's like this, one of my best long-term customers, Tim Fondrick up in Oregon, he's doing it exactly right, which is if somebody comes to him and says, I want to sign up for your reach services, these higher level services, what does he do? He says, that's fine, but those are only available to our customers who are on our foundation services. Okay, so I talked about at my first company, Everon, I would not do any custom project services. I talked about that yesterday. I would only do custom project services if you were paying us for our recurring management fee already. Otherwise, I would not do any work for you. Same thing. So he says, look, I'm not going to do any AdWords and Facebook campaigns for you unless you're on our reputation of resale services, and then tells them why. Walks them through the R4 framework and says, look, there's no reason for me to be trying to get success and spending your money on these campaigns when you have a website that doesn't even load quickly. Your mobile website isn't even optimized. There's no obvious lead magnet on there. You're not doing call tracking. So I'm not going to waste your money on campaigns when you're not even set up to effectively take advantage of those campaigns as a business. So first, you have to get on our foundation services, our reputation, our resale. So he sells every single customer that comes to him that, hey, you got to get on our lower price recurring packages first, because then we set up the foundation for success for our reach services. So again, you should always be driving people back to making sure they have that solid foundation first. That's the only way you're going to be successful, and it's the only way that they're going to be successful. So it's a win-win. All right, go ahead, Paulson. Sorry, just want to jump in there with that.
No, you're good. So will you be talking about the pricing difference tomorrow, or is that something you can highlight now?
Yeah, we can talk about that right now.
Okay, yeah, let's go over the pricing on how you structure this. And as we just get going on the pricing, guys, if you pulled up into McDonald's today and asked them to make you a burger, what are they going to tell you? They could make a burger, even if you ask them to make a burger, right? Give me a cheeseburger. They're going to be like, which one? Right? There is some packaging that they have that you have to select. You have to tell them a Big Mac. You have to tell them a quarter pounder. You have to tell them a number. Like there's an identity to the offers that they have. So you have to really focus in and create identity to your actual offers and actual products and services. And you want to label these things the same way internally as you kind of operationalize this. But overall, Michael, what is the pricing difference that you can tell us a little bit about as I get this annotation out of there? Okay, cool.
John is doing a little bit of drawing on there for us. Yeah, so look, you're going to hear a lot of conflicting advice, I know, in this industry as to how you're supposed to price your services. Some people are going to tell you it's all high ticket and, never reveal your price until you've sold them on all of the magic, value and, all that type of stuff, right? So you can tell by the way I'm using my voice there that I am kind of poking fun at that because look, when you price anything, there are various factors that have to be considered, okay? One is perceived value, of course, right? Perceived value is incredibly important. One is what are the costs associated in delivering that product or service? And then what are the margins that you need to operate your business successfully? Okay, those are all factors that need to be taken into consideration. If I were selling to a very large corporation, okay, a Fortune 500 corporation, and I was selling them on some new brand identity package, I would have absolutely no concern about what my costs to deliver are. It would all be about perceived value, right? It would all be about, hey, right now you're Microsoft. my new logo kit can make you Apple, where people love your brand and care about your brand and all that type of stuff, right? I'm 100% selling them on strategic value and perceived value. And that's why you can sell a logo design to a big business and charge $5 million for it, right? Big businesses pay that kind of money for branding kits. If you sell a branding kit to a small business and you try and charge more than 500 bucks, they choke on it, right? Even though it's just as important for them theoretically. So the reality is with small businesses, perceived value, of course, is important. We've got to do everything we can to make the perceived value of our products and services as attractive as we can. But the reality is small businesses, particularly if we are keeping our number one objective in mind as a business. What is our number one objective as a business? Get and keep recurring revenue. Period, end of sentence. That is the number one objective of your business. If you're clear on that, then you also need to be clear on there are certain price points that are going to be most effective to get and keep recurring revenue as long as you can. Okay? The more you are charging, the less likely you are going to keep small businesses paying you that recurring revenue over time. It's just reality. Small businesses are pressed for budget. And as soon as, here are the rules that have always worked for me. As soon as I start getting to about half the cost of an employee, I know that I'm getting evaluated versus just adding somebody new to their team, right? Like that's when that mental flip gets switched about, you know what, we could just hire somebody that would give us all of their time and attention on this rather than paying these guys X dollars a month, right? That's a reality. There's also a reality that I call this like the college payment or the Porsche payment evaluation thing, right? Whereas if I'm a small business owner and I'm about to pay Paulson 2,500 bucks a month, and I've been eyeballing that Porsche that I've been saying no to myself for the last 18 months, and I'm like, I really want that Porsche, or my kid's about to go to college, or I've been thinking about getting that vacation home at the ski area and the mortgage is $2,500 a month. Because small businesses don't operate with budgets typically, they are looking at the money coming out of their pocket. That's the way they think about the money. It's like, that's either $2,500 going to Paulson for marketing or 2,500 bucks to me to pay for my Porsche or my ski house. So you really got to weigh how much am I charging them versus their other personal attractive opportunities to spend that money. And then finally, the thing that I always consider is what are the other service or what are the other price points that the world is demonstrating actually work with small businesses? Okay, if you look at small businesses and how much they are paying monthly for businesses that are actually successful. So I'm talking about, the QuickBooks of the world and the HighLevels of the world and these other companies that are out there selling successfully and getting recurring revenue from customers every single month. What price points are they charging? $97 a month, $197, $297, $497, $697, maybe as high as $997. But that's pretty much the barrier. Okay. My experience is that you really want to keep within those ranges and that you want to strategically design your services so that you can stay within those ranges for 80% of your customers. Again, we talked about the 80-20, 20% of them may go up to these higher price services and have the budgets and all that type of stuff. 80% of them, you want to stay in that strategic sweet spot from a price perspective so that you can maximize speed of sale, ease of sale, and length of recurring revenue, lifetime value of the customer. Okay, there is a sweet spot in there that is proven. That's why every new SaaS platform that rolls out to small businesses is in a certain price range, because there are venture capitalists that have put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into figuring out, hey, if we charge $297, customers stay on, for an average of 50 months. If we charge $397, they stay on an average of 30 months. And those extra 20 months get us much more lifetime value and profitability, right? There's a lot of really smart money being spent to solve those problems. So in my opinion, you should be designing your service packages to fit in those price bands, if you will. Okay. My personal experience is with Kutenda Marketing as a Service. I had a $297, $497, $697. And then I offered a $97 a month as a foot in the door or an upsell. So I had some 97 foot in the door and upsells to offer, but my core packages were $297, $497, $697. Okay, and for me, it has always broken down that roughly 20% will take my bottom package, roughly 20% will take my top package, and 60% will fall right in the middle. And I think that there's some psychology around that, where there's a lot of people who just want the cheapest thing. There's a lot of people who want the premium thing. And then most people fall right in between. And that's the way it has always, worked out for me. So I believe that you want to design, again, to sell a recurring revenue that sticks. That's your number one objective at your business. The great thing is, with the reputation of resale services in particular, okay, you could sell those services at 97, 197, 297, 397, 497, 697, and make it work and have incredible margins, right? Obviously, you're going to have more margins at 497 than you're going to have at 297, but you can make it work at those price points because almost everything is just automated based on high level. And then if you're selling at 97, obviously you would need to have the ability to charge more based on usage if they're using the SMS and email and stuff like that. And that's where you just have the price bands that scale up. So if you look at a company like, let's say ConvertKit, which sells email, right? Email system. ConvertKit has been very, very smart in that they've got a foot in the door that's very low price. You can essentially sign up for ConvertKit for pretty much free. But then as you scale up your usage, you start paying more based on how much you're actually sending or how many people you have on your list or whatever it is, which is what you can do with HighLevel, right? Hey, based on your sending, you're going to get charged. So you can have a lower price point as your foot in the door and then scale up based on usage. I like having again, those price ranges somewhere around there. And I would say, Paulson, it largely depends on the industry that you're selling to as well. If you're selling to quick service restaurants, you're going to have to be at the lower end of that price range versus if you're selling to injury attorneys, personal injury attorneys. Personal injury attorneys, you can probably sell at a significantly higher price point and have them be okay with it because they generally are making a lot more money than a quick service restaurant is. So, you have that ability to flex within that range to suit your particular audience.
So just a quick note, I can see some of your faces and I can imagine some of the questions that are coming my way after this workshop. Well, Paulson, you brought this guy named Rob Bailey in, 2 months ago and you did this workshop and we're doing the high ticket thing, right? So what's the difference between Rob's model, which I absolutely love Rob, by the way, and what he's saying is if you're going to provide a reactivation campaign, you're providing a service by actually running the campaigns for them. So it's actually upfront lead generation service via text. That is what you're actually providing at high ticket upfront, and you back them into a smaller subscription if you feel like that's qualified. This is not the same thing Michael's talking about, right? Michael's talking about creating a package that they're self-serving and you're automating as you go, even if it's not high ticket. Yes, they can run it yourself or themselves, but if you're going to run it, you have to charge accordingly as if it's a service. Where Rob Bailey is saying, you know what, my success with the gym guys is like, I'm going to charge them $5K up front and run it as a service. I don't even give them the choice, okay? So I want to address that before I get about 50, 60 messages this week on my messenger about Rob Bailey versus Michael on the two different models. We're saying the same thing. There's two different angles that you have the freedom to do. You want to add anything to that? I'm sure you think.
Oh, totally. I absolutely want to add to that. So Rob Bailey is one of my great long-term friends and was a customer of mine for years and years. And we've also partnered on doing agency training events together and stuff like that. So we work very hand in hand. And Rob is great at what he does. And he has an approach and a system that he is teaching because part of the reason why he is teaching that specific approach is he knows that a lot of you need this. You have this idea of, hey, I need this upfront cash to make my model work. I've got to get some upfront cash. I got to get $5,000 in my pocket now. So what he's saying is, well, look, instead of getting $5,000 upfront, doing some custom, BS that most of you guys are off doing, just run this exact same type of model every time, and it will work for you because it will get the results that will justify the $5,000. So it's a perfect upfront higher ticket thing to offer if you're going to be offering something higher ticket. Okay. And I 100% agree with that. And let me stress very, very clearly, and we will get into this in the next couple of presentations. Just because I'm saying that the core of your model should be these lower priced packages, I am not saying that you can't do something upfront to get more cash. Absolutely you can. And I'll show you a few different options. Okay. I'll show you a few different options for doing that. Here is what I want you to keep in mind, and we'll talk about this more in the future presentations. Anytime you're thinking about doing something upfront to get more cash, or you're thinking about offering a higher ticket service because somebody said you need to have a higher ticket, you need to have a $5,000 a month coaching program, right? That's what the smartest people do. You need to have that on top there, right? Anytime you're thinking about any of those options, you should be asking yourself, is this within process? Okay, this is the first thing I would ask myself. Is this within process? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is I am currently building my business model around doing these certain things for my business customers and doing it effectively and efficiently and trying to get really good at it, right? And now all of a sudden, I heard I should offer some high ticket coaching on top of that. That is completely out of process of what you are currently doing to serve your customers, which means you've got a whole new set of marketing functions that you're going to need around that, a whole new set of support functions you're going to need around that, a whole different set of service delivery functions you're going to need around that to do that successfully. Essentially, you're building like a second business. If you've got the time, money, management, resources to do that and do it effectively, then strategically that may be something for you to consider. If you're trying to just bolt that on there to fix your profitability problems, I'm telling you, you're in for a world of hurt because you just designed a whole new set of problems into your business. You just, created something completely out of process. Versus, let me give you a good example, and we'll talk about this in the upcoming presentations. How could I make this system that I just told you to sell at $497 a month, a higher ticket upfront offer, okay, that is completely within process? Let me show you how to do it. One example, just really quickly. It's an annual plan. It's an annual prepay. You save 20% when you do an annual prepay. It's the exact same service delivery, exact same sales process, and nothing changes at all. It is completely within process, but now $497 a month would be $6,000 a year, right? Or it's $5,000 up front, one-time payment for the year. You just saved 20%. My service delivery process did not change one bit. My sales process did not change one bit. On the order form, I gave you two options, $497 a month or $5,000 for the year. Okay. I just now got $5,000 up front in cash to pay for my system, which is essentially just HighLevel for the year, right? In process, completely scalable. And guess what? A good percentage of your customers will take you up on that. What percentage probably depends on what kind of a discount and what your market is and all that type of stuff. But let me tell you, the business that decided to do that because it completely changed their business. I talked a little bit about HubSpot yesterday. HubSpot found that when customers pay upfront for the year, they have a much higher degree of commitment and success in their services and end up sticking much longer. Why? Because they commit, they put skin in the game. It's human nature. I just paid for this for the year. We got to dive in and make this damn thing work. Versus when I sign up for monthly, it's easy for me to, I only paid for a month. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel, right? So what did HubSpot do? HubSpot changed their commission plan for their salespeople to say that the good commissions, the commissions that you want, you only get when you sell a plan upfront for the year. If you sell on a recurring monthly basis, you get a much lower commission rate. And guess what? Lo and behold, salespeople started selling annual prepays, and it became a big percentage of their business, and it gave them cash to fuel their growth. Okay, so we talked about this a bit yesterday, but yesterday is like having the will to share the way that, or to sell the way that you need to sell to be successful. And that is one way that you can get cash up front. And I'm going to talk about a few different strategies here in our next session, but that's one way that you can sell up front to get upfront cash. Okay. Yeah, Paulson?
Yeah, guys, if you haven't observed this, most of high-level promotions and marketing we've ever done, the offers are typically an annual option, right? And we've actually made the mistake in the past. Like if you remember the last Black Friday offer we did, I'm being super vulnerable here. We made a mistake in discounting it too much. We said, you know what, 30 or 40% off. But the problem with that is not the cash up front that we would get. The problem with that is that's confirmed revenue of tomorrow, because SaaS is only a 3% churn. So meaning that extra 20% that we discounted, that's confirmed revenue for tomorrow that we said no to. It's not like the agency model of, oh, let me just give you 30, 40% off, right? So when that cycle happens, when those annual plans kick in, guess what? We would be short of revenue because now we've offered an aggressive annual discount. So typically annual, you don't want to go beyond 2 months off or max 3 months off, just so you guys know. Don't do like a 50% off or anything like that. And these are things that we've learned ourselves from you guys purchasing the annual offers, just so you know. Let's go into a Q&A, Michael, for about 15, 20 minutes, if you don't mind, or even less. I don't want to prolong it anymore. I see a ton of comments and questions are coming in, Michael. If you want to look at that, we can go over it. The first one I can just kind of read out is Alan says, how do you differentiate between reactivation campaigns versus retargeting as a service?
Reactivation campaigns versus retargeting as a service. So a reactivation campaign is typically where you've got a group of prospects or past customers or whatever it is, where you are where they've been sitting kind of dormant in terms of you making communications or offers to them, right? And so you had this group of customers that the last time they came in here was 6 months ago, and they've just been kind of sitting there. So in that, you're going to strategically put together a campaign to, in one shot, reach out to them and try and pull them back in, versus a retargeting campaign is typically an ongoing, like I'm just staying in front of you all the time, right? So that you don't forget about me, so that I'm always there. And with a retargeting campaign, one of the things I love about retargeting, super, super easy to just set up a campaign that's got a whole bunch of different creatives in it, so that the creatives are just rotating around kind of. So you come to my website and you're going to see today, you're going to see a video from me about XYZ. 3 days from now, you're going to see an article from me. 2 days after that, you're going to see a different video from me. But I'm just constantly staying in front of you, keeping my message in front of you. Trying not to give you the opportunity to ever really truly go dormant like those lists that we're reactivating.
Yeah, and the key importance to remember is retargeting is typically against cold traffic, right? You're trying to retarget and observe a new prospect that you've never had. Reactivating is reactivating an existing prospect that's already there, that's already confirmed as a lead, right? So that's the big difference that I would say. Larry says, I have an omni-channel addressable ad agency and target all businesses serving pets or pet owners as well. Let's see. My bad. I read a comment about somebody's industry. Don Franklin says, does Mike recommend using the HighLevel website builder for their clients, or making a WordPress site and using the HighLevel hosting for SMBs, especially when it comes to SEO and things like that? So that's more of a marketing question versus packaging.
Yeah, the thing to me is I would take advantage of the HighLevel website builder where you can, because The fantastic thing about that is then it's all in the HighLevel platform, and you get just that extra degree of ease of scalability of creating it, duplicating it, using custom values, all that type of stuff. Versus if you're building on WordPress, you have the integration of HighLevel using the Lead Connect. Am I saying that? Lead Connect?
Wait. Lead Connect, yeah.
Yeah, Lead Connect, which I love. So I have WordPress sites still because I didn't convert those for my existing business. And so I use the Lead Connect feature to put all my funnels directly onto the site and stuff like that. I love it. And so, either one is really good. I would just say when it comes to scalability, particularly if you're trying to offer websites as a service in a very canned, systematized way. So, the way I did it with IT service providers was I had 5 different templates. They could choose between those 5 templates, and then I would just do basic customizations of them. I would do that in HighLevel all day long if I could, because it just, the scalability of it and ease of it just goes through the roof.
Yeah, and we're going to improve all aspects, right? Including the website builder, making it more SEO friendly as we go, just so you guys know. So it's not set and forget and we're done with it. We're going to continuously improve almost every aspect of the system. Jacob Ratcliffe goes, how many packages should we offer? Most have 3, but it seems easier to sell more packages that tier up on reach.
So I am a big fan of having 3 packages that you were presenting. Those 3 packages can then have tiers based on usage, right? So package 1, but tiers, are you using 100 SMS minutes a month or 500 or whatever? So those can scale up based on usage. I'm a big fan though of 3 packages. And this all honestly just comes down to the simplicity of helping your customer's brain make a decision. Your prospect's brain make a decision. You give them too many choices kill sales. It just scrambles your brain. If you give me too many things I have to consider, too many alternatives, it's a harder thing than if you just give me 3 and go A, B, or C. Basic, pro, premium, like Paulson talked about earlier, labeling them, giving them a name, and that name and associated price point, it makes it super easy for somebody to make a quick decision. I think in selling to small businesses, you want to remove all friction to making a decision. Just want to keep it super simple.
Yeah. Jacob's also asking, is there going to be a hands-on views of SaaS mode to show the tech side of setting up? So Jacob, that's already available to you if you don't have access to the SaaS Fast Track program, which is HighLevel's SaaSpreneur course that you get for free. Module 5 is literally setting up the whole SaaS mode side. So if you don't have access, just DM me. I can just turn that on for you and you can go through that module. Let's see. Question from Francis or Don says, let me see. Yeah, let's go with Francis' question. It's a technical question. He goes, how do you manage email deliverability for every sub account? Do you run everything through a generic domain or set up sub or custom domains for every location? So I don't think we covered much of anything about email deliverability on this call, but is that something you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend that each customer is set up to essentially run email through their own domain. I've done it both ways. At Kutenda, I literally had 2 full-time people that had to manage email deliverability for me because we had we were sending so many emails on behalf of our customers. That's not fun. So I would recommend that everybody is going through their own domain to try and just keep things as clean as possible. You don't want to have, a small group of customers that are causing problems for everybody else. So that would be my approach to it.
Okay, awesome. One more thing. Is Mike's MSP Academy, does he help you build out these specific R4 services for ourselves or give resources that could be built? And maybe on that note, do you want to talk about your academy and just kind of, we can visit your offer? So every single day at the end of the session, guys, Mike's going to talk about his offer. He kind of highlighted it yesterday. So yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. Yeah. If you go to services.scale.com/MSPA, okay, M as in Michael, SPA. So that's MSP Academy. MSP Academy is where I teach the strategies and tactical execution of how to design your business as a marketing systems provider. That's MSP, marketing systems provider. And so the offer that I make, to folks on the call and to anybody really, is that if you are invested in HighLevel through me at Pro or Premium, Pro or SaaS, excuse me, Unlimited Agency or Pro, then you get access to MSP Academy at no cost through me. If you upgrade, some of you are of course already signed up for HighLevel through somebody else. If you upgrade through me, you also get it at no cost through there. I do weekly coaching calls with that group, and those coaching calls, yes, Dawn. So I have a whole curriculum around the things that we're covering here on these calls, but in detail with a lot of tools and frameworks to help you. What's up, Glenn? To help you execute on that, and then to do your sales and marketing, right? Because it's one thing to put together these pretty packages and have them just sitting there on your website. It's another thing, of course, to go and fill your funnel and start driving opportunities. So Glenn just joined, or I don't know when he joined us, but I can just see him now on camera. He's a member of MSP Academy and a long-term customer of mine. So
Glenn, why don't you go ahead and ask your question? I'm just scrolling through, and guys and gals, put your questions down on the Facebook streaming. We're going to keep this going for about another 5 minutes. Okay, so take advantage of it. We'll answer those questions as much as we can.
Sure. Thank you, Paulson. Hey, Mike, what's doing, bud?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I guess it's a good segue opportunity, right? So I discovered Mike it's about a year ago, I think now, kind of. And just for the folks out there, I come from a software background. I've been selling software since 1985. I'm pretty old, and and I'm crotchety. But no, that's a whole lot. But and then I found myself in the agency business, right, and realized that I just didn't want to be in the agency business. And I realized that I found Mike, and Mike's the only guy I think who thought the way I thought I should be thinking, and we kind of latched on. So I guess a couple of quick takeaways are anybody who's like needs help with this stuff. And I'm not getting paid for this, all right? I'm just saying, Mike's the guy who really believes in this whole thing about productizing services and dumbing it down and selling packages, right? I can tell you guys that aside from what I do with my own business, I also am still a sales agent with a software company, and we're selling 5-year contracts, right? So if you want to have no churn and you want to like be able to manage your stuff and grow and scale, you cannot be exchanging time for money in like a professional services environment, or providing services that you constantly have to hire people to fulfill for you. I mean, I'm not saying you can't be successful. I'm just saying it's a hard road. It's a really, really hard road. And it's going to get harder because more and more SaaS type software products are being released into the marketplace where people can do stuff themselves. Okay. So, you got to be real careful about that. So I want to just, make that point that if it makes sense to you, Mike has a great program, his MSP program, which I'm in, is really, really good. And it gave me a lot of clarity on concepts that I already knew or wanted to follow, but it gave me a lot of clarity on like the steps and how to do it and how to like kind of break it down into those pieces.
Awesome.
So,
thanks, Glenn.
No, hey, I'm just telling it like it is, because it's the truth. It's the truth out there. And for everybody else who's killing it and doing what you're doing, power to you. And I'll be a little jealous, but I'm just going to follow my path. I do me and you guys do you. And that's it. I just want to throw a shout out to Mike and Paulson. You won't remember, but really early on, I've been a GHL guy almost 2 years now. And I jumped on one of your webinar seminars way back, and me coming from my mindset of an MSP and a software guy, it was a whole lead gen type nurturing thing. And I was like going like, wait a minute, this is not the right place. I'm not in the right place right now. But here I am 2 years later, so I'm a glutton for punishment. But anyway, just want to throw that in there and look Mike up. Paulson, you're doing a great thing, and hope everybody's just getting rich and having a good time out there. That's the name of the game. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Hey, there's nothing like a live testimonial that was unplanned.
That's right. I love it.
and I've been watching since the beginning. I was on yesterday also, actually. Just it's because I need to hear it too. You know, like we all fall into that trap. Like it's so hard to say no to someone who's trying to throw money at you. Hey, can you guys do this for me? And the biggest challenge is that you have to learn to say no. Like Mike talked about being out of process. It's like going into a Chinese restaurant and asking a guy to make some meatballs for you or something, or you just say no. You just don't do that. You sign on the menu. Just don't do that. So anyway, I'm sitting back. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Glenn.
All right.
I appreciate it, guys. So everybody that jumped in. So Mike, real quick, tomorrow's agenda. Let's see. Amy, if you want to unmute yourself, Amy said I might have missed a question. What I'm doing is going through the questions to see if it's relevant to today's conversation. So in the recording, it actually is relevant. So Amy, if I missed something, feel free to unmute yourself. She said, let me see. Oh, okay, perfect. So let's talk about tomorrow's agenda, Mike, and we can close out and get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so day 3, how to onboard your customers in a way to automatically create that long-term sticky revenue. So actually day 3 and day 4 are super complementary, which is how do we get customers on board? How do we charge them? How do we make them stick as long as we possibly can? Again, I am super clear about the objectives of this business, right? How do we sell recurring revenue and make that recurring revenue stick as long as humanly possible? The reality is that if you win in those first 30 days with a customer, if you do a good job in those first 30 days, those customers tend to be there for years. If you screw anything up in those first 30 days, and when I say screw anything up, I mean the biggest, most important thing is that you erode the trust, right? You erode the confidence that somebody made in buying from you, then that's where you get into real trouble. Because the highest point of stress when somebody makes a buying decision is right after they've committed, right? Because right after they've committed, they're making that payment, they're cutting off other alternatives, right? Right up until that moment, they still had other alternatives. Now they've given you the money and they're wondering, oh geez, did I make the right decision? In a service business like ours, it is all about maintaining that relationship. And as you guys know, in relationships, it's about trust. It's about confidence, right? Do I have the best interest of that person in mind and do they feel it? And so in day 3, we're going to talk about how we bring our customers on in a way that's going to deliver a ton of value right away so that they feel good. We're going to lead them. We're going to guide them to success with our marketing systems. And we're going to set ourselves up in day 4 here to talk about how we're going to charge in ways that give us a lot of flexibility in terms of, do we get the revenue spread out over a long time? Do we get it up front? Do we do a balance of those things? That type of stuff, so that we have options to get more high ticket, cash and revenue coming in.
Yeah, let's go with Mark Gamble for a quick second. I know he had a question.
Hey, what's up, Mike? How's it going, my man?
Hey, good. How you doing, Mark? I recognize you.
All good, all good. Paulson, good to meet you, my friend.
Good to meet you.
Real quick, Mike, I don't have a link for HighLevel for you. So is there a way I can get my hands on that?
Yeah, thank you very much. If you go to servicesthatscale.com/HighLevel, you will see my page there where I kind of spread the word about HighLevel and share why I like it so much and all that good stuff. And if you click on one of the links there that says get started with HighLevel, then that will take you through my link. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This has been on my agenda for a minute, so appreciate you guys kind of putting this together and organizing it, and I like the format too. It's very succinct, and you guys are touching on a lot of the important aspects. So good job, guys. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for being here, guys. So tomorrow,
Can I just jump one more thing? Just came to mind. Yeah, you guys are talking before a little bit ago about high ticket. And Rob, and you brought up some stuff. So, and Mike hit on this, but I just want to hit on this again. So, the way I have my stuff broken down is basically I have it broken down where you get GHL, and I have another product that's part of my core offer, if you will. Okay, and then I actually have, like, right now just 2 service packages. So the way I'm selling it is you can just buy the software, and I'll set it up with some basic stuff in there, the chat widget, a campaign, this, or you can buy this, the social media management stuff or the other stuff from me as well. But I wanted to say, even on the core package, so I'm selling at $497. And at 3 months, 35. I asked for 3,500 up front, and that covers you for 3 months. So there's some setup in there, and what my monthly license fee would be if you want to. As a software guy, I talk about a license fee, and then at 6 months, I'm doing 5,000 up front, and that gives you 6 months of payments. You're paid for 6 months, and my setup. Now that doesn't include if I'm selling you services. I'm quoting that as another package, right? And then I have a setup fee with that. But
Awesome.
Just the way to bring more revenue in initially, and it's not high ticket. $5,000 isn't what I call high ticket. I sell $200,000 systems in my other gig when I sell software. But I'm just saying that's a way to bring revenue in the door.
Totally.
If you need it now, if you need some revenue.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll talk about those options and some of the flexibility that you have there. It's just about getting creative and just putting together value propositions that make sense for the customer. But so the name of my system is R4 Surge to SaaS, Surge to Systems as a Service. That Surge is not just some goofy marketing thing that I put in the tagline. That is part of the specific sales and service delivery process that we're going to talk about here over the next couple of days that allow you to then maximize that upfront value for your customers and maximize also cash collected if that's the goal.
Awesome. Guys, also just one small announcement. You guys ready for a small little drum roll? I had made a post in the pro group. If you're a part of the pro group, you might have seen this. We at HighLevel decided to launch our first ever mastermind for SaaSpreneurs. It's happening in literally in a few weeks. So if you go highlevel.com/mastermind, you'll get some information about it. I think it's almost sold out because we've prioritized and put it on the pro group. So if there's still tickets, you'll be able to purchase. But take a look at it if you get a chance. It's highlevel.com/mastermind. If you want to come to Dallas, we've got myself, Chase, Robin, Alex, as well as Josh Nelson. We've got some of the elite affiliates that signed up as well as attendees. I'm surprised by, but either way, we're going to have a great ball of a time if you guys want to come to Dallas. But yeah, I'm not even going to post the link. Just wanted to make a small announcement while you guys are still on the call. Have a good rest of your afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow for day 3. Excited to get more things under your way and more things elaborated and brought clarity to you. Mike, anything we need to cover today? That's it, right?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here and your attention and all your good questions and everything. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.